Hey guys, what's up? It's coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides Witchla. And today we got in here at the right time. Got to bed at a better time last night, although still only ended up with 7 hours and 20 minutes of sleep. I really wanted to try to get more to 8, but again, it's a little bit difficult for me. For some reason, my body it just gravitates towards 7, and like even if I try to get 8, I don't know. Don't know if I did something to myself or what to get to this point, but is what it is. Is what it is. Um, yeah, I'm obviously still thinking about yesterday, and I think that's something I kind of realize is like I don't know, the way I am with things, it's maybe I'm complicated, but maybe other people are complicated too, and it's just not as apparent. Because it's almost like contradictory, because I love on the spot speaking. I do. When I'm doing this show and there's no script and I'm just supposed to talk, or when I'm in a conversation and I'm really given the platform. I love to talk. I love to talk off the cuff. I come up with things, blah blah. But I think what the problem is when it's needing to come up with things to say on the spot, and I have zero like understanding of the situation, and it's very quick and it's high stakes. That's typically when I'm going to start to falter. I don't know, like I guess it just gets to my head, and it's not something that I'm very comfortable doing. Like I've never been that comfortable operating in that way. But why I say it might seem contradictory is because again, like, well, if you like shooting from the hip, then why do you not like it when you're in this surprise situation? Like, I guess I like shooting from the hip when it's still in a controlled environment, or an environment that makes sense. Like I said, given the platform, you know, and I'm loosely aware of things. Now, if like I was going into an interview and they were asking me questions off the cuff, like that's kind of different, unless it was like coming into an interview and it was terrible. You know what I mean? Like if I came into an interview, someone was really grilling me, I wouldn't like that. Although, even still, I actually think I'd be okay with like a tough interview. Like I would. It's just that it would have to be like reasonable. I think when I would start to get freaked out is when somebody starts being irrational with the things they're accusing me of. And I can't really say anything to like counter argue it. You know what I Cuz it's like I they're not being rational anyway, so and so in a situation I feel like if, the police pulls me over and he's assuming that I'm on something, or I'm, yeah, like taking drugs or whatever, I don't know that there's really well, first of all, I couldn't even I didn't even know that's what was happening. Like it took me a while to figure out that's what his assertion was. And then I don't even know, like I hope that didn't go on my record, or like I don't even know. I have like no idea what that did to my thing, but it's like going to be really annoying if that affected my driving record, because it would make my insurance go up a little bit, but I guess I just have no control over that. Like I can't really figure out what he could have put me down for, but it's like really a shame. It's just such a weird, a shame situation. And what really makes me upset is that every time I've been pulled over, it's been it's never been on a highway. And that actually is like very annoying to me. I have a feeling that there's some kind of justification for why there aren't more police on the highway. Um, it's probably got something to do with like a lot of times people can speed and get away and it gets very dangerous, so there's probably some type of logic to it. Don't get me wrong, but it's very annoying because it's like I've been pulled over so many times, and none of those times were were remotely like that big of a deal. Like I don't know. The first time, like I explained yesterday, the first red that I ran through, it was a little bit close. It was. So it's like that's the only, but every other time it's been something that just isn't that big of a deal. Like truly it's not. It's just not that big of a deal compared to most of the things and the moves I see people pull on the highway, who they should be immediately pulled over for, and they never are. I see it all the time. I see people drive like way crazy, and then they're never given any punishment or pulled over for it. And then you have somebody like me who drives relatively well, and I've been pulled over 4 times in the 3 years of me driving. And to me, that there's something critically wrong with that. Like I don't. How come those other people are never pulled over? Like that's not right. That's like such a waste of time and resources on the police's part. So they need to get out there on the highways. I seriously, most of the accidents I've ever seen too are always on the highways. Like it's fairly unusual in relative comparison that people get into accidents on regular roads anyway. So I don't know why they would stock them up. But yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it. I guess just with everything going on yesterday, it I wasn't thinking about how he could have wrote me up for something. I hope he doesn't, but I don't really know how that works exactly. I guess it's just kind of up in the air. But yeah, that's kind of the problem, is like with me it's like even afterwards, like I'm still affected by the situation. I'm still thinking about the situation, but in the moment I'm I'm frazzled. I'm not really able to do anything, but it takes me like a day, and then I'm like I really get it, you know? And I actually, because now that I'm thinking about some of the things that I've dealt with before with people, that kind of makes sense. I think to some extent everybody's like that, because I've dealt with so many people where they want space, and then I'm confused as to why they need or want the space, because I would like to get to some kind of common conclusion now. Like I don't want to have to go to bed with a bunch of tension and friction. That's just not something I'm interested in doing. Um, and so I haven't understood that, but I realize I just think my patience with the arguments or those communicatively draining things, it is higher. And so, but like everyone else, I think it takes time. Like, you can't, for a human to be able to come up with like the wittiest response or the best answer just immediately in the moment, I think that's like a skill. That's just not something that most people have. And I think the general trend is that, hindsight is 2020, and then it's like afterwards we're like, "Oh, I could have said this, I could have said that." That's kind of where my brain's at, where my brain, it's great at figuring things out, but not that fast. It's a deeper or like a slower brain. I mean, trust me, I have my moments where it's like a stroke of genius, but that's not super often. A lot of times it's slow, and so a lot of times like I seem kind of like out there, kind of slow, you know, but it's just like it's slow in regards to these like material kind of like systematic inefficiencies. When you get me on a microphone and get me to talk about stuff in a clear, calm environment, you can see that there's a lot to be like, there's a lot going on good here, you know? But if I'm like pulled over because of an incorrect assumption, then, I might seem like kind of frazzled and suspicious for no reason. So I guess it's something I really should be paying mind to and paying attention to. But no, I don't know. Like I try my best. You got to try your best, I guess. But yeah, I don't. I'm in here earlier than I was before, but I don't think it's as early as I thought it would be. Sadly. Um. Yeah, and like I said too, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't driving at night. Like, I'm sure that situation wouldn't have happened. There's like a lot of silly things, but that's my main takeaway. Like, start getting some of these people on the highway. Like, they're doing things that are actually stressful and dangerous. Um, Most of the stuff I've done and been pulled over for, it's just not really that big of a deal. Like, it's stuff that's just like, yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's really likely not going to affect anybody's lives. Like, it just won't anybody's life. It just won't affect anybody's life. It's not going to call, but those guys making moves on the highway, it matters. So I definitely think they need to amp up big time police presence on the highway. It just I've seen so many bad things on the highway, and I've actually never seen somebody get pulled over while I'm on the highway. Never. And I spend more time on the highway than I do in side roads and side streets. But still, like, it's not even close. I've seen more people pulled over on the side roads and the side streets. So I know that, like I said, I'm sure there's a reason for it. I'm sure, like, when people are on the highway, it's like, it's riskier for the officer and all this stuff, but that's really where most of the problems and most of the risk of death is. So, in my opinion, like, let's go there. Let's stop, pulling people over because they ran a red light by a second, and actually get the people who run it and are causing like a serious problem. Because then I've heard stories about people doing more aggressive red light runs, and then they don't even get caught for it. You know, like it's like, so there's a lot of these problems, and it's why, you know, I want there to be a surveillance state, because all this stuff would just be on camera, and the makeup of a person would already be known. You know, it's like you have like a tracker, if you're on drugs or not. You know, if the police is choosing to pull you over, he can see, okay, well, how often does this person do drugs? How often do they drink? And then if he would have scanned my plate and then pulled up my spreadsheet and saw that I've never even done weed in my whole life, then that would have avoided a lot of problems, wouldn't have? Because he probably wouldn't have pulled me over. But on the other hand, I see how it can be dangerous because, you know, the surveillance data can be used incorrectly, you know, and then you have these people who I'm not, I'm just not sure how bright they are when it comes to those kind of decisions. Although, at the same time, like, you know, being a police officer, I'm sure the judgment calls you have to make are pretty tricky, and you have to really err on the side of keeping people safe. But that's what I'm saying. Go on the highways, please, because it's just like, come on. I'm certain that like every major accident it's on the highway, and if there's an accident on a side road, it's probably not going to result in death. So please, you guys need to get on the highway. I really think I'm onto something with that. Like, there's no way. I hope it's not just some laziness thing, you know, because I don't see them on the highway as much as I would like to. And that's genuinely where most of the driving violations happen. Um, they really can't just be sitting on the highway. They have to be driving. They have to be like a part of the, you know, a part of the road, like ready to pull someone over if they spot something, you know? I mean, rarely I see them sitting on the side of the highway, but that's not really, they need to be right here with me, right here with me, actually pulling people over who deserve to be pulled over, because there's a lot of those characters, but it's not me. Like, I don't, I'm not someone who's like needing to be pulled over. It's like, it's just backwards, you know, and that's why I want that surveillance so that they can really just see and just say, oh, well, no, this guy's fine, or oh, that person, yeah, they do a lot of this substance. Maybe I should actually pull this guy over. He seems like a higher risk. Just misuse, of course, like the surveillance things, like if it's misused, it's scary, it's stressful, you know. I've already heard the whole bit about that, obviously. And yeah, well, it is what it is, but I just yeah, like I said, I think their priorities are off. And sadly, I do think it's a result of like a genuine laziness, or it's impractical because it's burning a lot of fuel. Although at the same time, highway driving is not, that's actually not really, it's not really that bad on fuel. I think we'll get to a point where these things are cracked down better. I like, because I know the cameras are going to start to come in, the highway cameras, and cameras keep getting better, right? I mean, there's like a lot that's going to get better. I think they could have different police cruisers that are these, you know, ultra fuel efficient, maybe more chill or lightweight um cars that they drive around, and it's not actually necessarily capable of a pursuit, but it would be like a stealth cruiser that's like blacked out, and their job would just be to report a bunch of plates that they see incorrect behavior on, and then that would all get submitted, and so over time they would eventually, you know. But yeah, it's just, I mean, the whole situation is a shame too. But just as somebody who, I've never done anything egregious, like it's very frustrating to have to deal with this stuff. Like it's just is. It's not a good situation at all. Just terrible. Like I don't know. I think it's terrible anyways. Ugh, it's just unjust. It's just unjust. Well, at least I think it's unjust. I think that's why I have so much of a sensitivity to it, I guess. But yeah, it's just really like a silly thing. We need to be pulling more people over for speeding. That's what we need to be doing. And making crazy merge moves, merging without their turn signal. Not like these nitpicky things that I'm getting pulled over. Like, what are we doing? It's not going to, it's not saving anything. You know what I mean? And look, and here's the thing too. I'm reflective to the point where I think it's good that I've gone through what I've gone through. Because, like, when I get pulled over, it's probably made me a bit of a better driver or something. So, because it really does. It makes you think. It definitely makes you think. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Like, it's like, it definitely makes you think. But it's still crazy because, like, if that guy knew that, like, I've never had weed, I don't want to have weed, it's just like, it's just so crazy for me to be pulled over for something like that. And I would never be driving on that. Like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm just not. That's why it's so jarring for me to get pulled over, because it's like, I guess that is like an ego thing. Because the ego, like, my ego is like just not even. It's just not thinking like that at all. It's like very, like, oh, that couldn't be me who got pulled over. Like, but yeah, I mean, at the same time, too, when I talk about more police and things like that, I mean, some of the moves people make, it's like, it really is also just on people to some extent. I mean, you can't, if people are going to act crazy, it's like, you can't, like, strong arm them not to necessarily. Like, it's kind of just, it just kind of is what it is. Like, right? I mean, how much can you strong arm people before it's just like, what's what's actually the problem? Why are people doing drugs, or why are people driving really aggressively? Like, but there's only so much enforcement will even really do. It doesn't, I mean, empirically, I'm not sure that it solves the problem for the better. I think it's like a part of the thing, but I'm still a believer in that the foundational structures of our system, like the quality of our education and our environments that we're in, is the primary indicator of a lot of these behaviors. So like that's going to be a bigger influence on it rather than, yeah. And just now, like, I'm seeing people like speed extremely unnecessarily. Like, I see it. I see it all the time. They must be going like, yeah, I don't even know, but and they just get away with it. Like, I don't understand when it's like it's more dangerous than anything I ever got pulled over for. It's way more dangerous. Some of these, like, I'm just seeing it right now. Someone cut over 2 lanes. Go from left through the center all the way to the right when they have to get to an exit. Like, that should be a ticket. Like, boom. I don't understand why I'm getting just for minor, like, these minor things that don't even, But yeah, I think someday we are going to probably see that. I don't see why that wouldn't be the case where, every car has a camera and it just, if it sees a move like that, it just snaps the plate, submits it, and then, they're going to get like penalized for it in their insurance. Like, I feel like that's going to happen eventually, but what I said is the important conversation to have. It's like the distinction between rules and enforcement and then just like where's the person's heart at? And like differentiating between people who actually want to be good people versus people who are just being good people to game a system. I haven't really thought about it before, but now that we're talking about it, it is like a huge problem. I don't really think GPT articulated it very well. I don't know. I feel like the way I'm comprehending it now is just like much more complete. Like it is true that there's almost a fraud to like over enforcement because now, well, what if the tracking was shut off? Does that mean now like people are just going to be animals without such a strict rule system? Like, how are we at a point before where, relatively speaking and societally speaking, we were in a bit? Well, so yeah, saying that is even complicated, but I think surveillance has probably helped, actually. It probably has helped deter a lot of crime. Um, but I guess what I was saying is there's sort of this like stereotype about the past being a better time, but I know a lot of data showed that, actually for a while crime was lowest in modern times, but I guess people dispute those statistics a lot. I think that's what happens. They dispute the data around it. Um, so pretty sure that's what happens, where it's like, it's just reported crime and you don't know. Because yeah, I mean that's probably another thing is like unreported crime might be high, but I don't know. Maybe at the same time, maybe unreported crime is lower. It's really hard to pinpoint, but the point is people feel less safe. You know, I think that's like for sure. And everything's just very different. Just in general. Sorry, started thinking about some things. But yeah, like it is true that it really, I mean, it could bring out some bad kind of things and behaviors, honestly. Because it's so much less about like what's coming from the heart, you know? And it just becomes like this gamification of things. And what kind of people does that manufacture? That's like the issue, is it's what kind of people does that kind of a society create? I mean, you know, I, no, wow, that's crazy. Even what this guy just did in this, I mean, it looks like it's some kind of a trash truck, and he did something that it was kind of risky. He like passed me on my right in a lane that you're not supposed to even pass people in, and he probably almost hit the curb. Like he cut it pretty close. Like it wasn't. Yeah, I'm just like I can't believe that. That would not have been good. Like that really would have been, because if his car tipped or something, his like giant truck, that could have really messed me up. Could have really messed me up. Like I'm serious. And there was just no reason like I don't understand, like it's just you're not, and that's like another example. But guess what? There's no police around, so like nothing. It's, and yeah, I mean people should feel guilty. They should want to avoid those sorts of things, but you know, they don't, I guess. I guess they don't. Yeah, see, and we're like I feel like we're only 5 minutes early, which like we're making it here on a good time. I can't complain, but I wanted to, we're gonna be a few minutes off from like perfect, so not really sure how I feel about that, but yeah, we're coming through the stress zone. You know, the stress zone is this area where I've been pulled over twice now. Like what? You know what I'm saying? It's like seriously, guys, chill in the zone. But I think it makes sense that they try to pull over a lot of people here, honestly. I don't even think it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And then you don't even like I don't even see anybody. There's no police here right now. Any like it's always like that. Like so yeah, I actually don't know. Like now I'm being given like an identity crisis because I do believe that is like a real conundrum. You know, like it is. It's like if you just have like strict enforcement, that's only so meaningful. You know, it is like it's. I just don't know what that manufactures, but nowadays it's like weird because we like where do you fix what we have now, which is just people don't even care anymore about doing the right thing or trying to like it's like there's so many people who just try to grab and steal and abuse. Like how do you reconcile with that? I just don't understand. This doesn't make like any sense. Oh, come on, man. Man, come on, man. Uh, it didn't do it. Oh my goodness. Load, load. It didn't even matter because we hit like a kind of a bad yeah. No, we made pretty close to optimal, I'd say. Say it was pretty close to optimal. All right, guys. Another successful journey to another successful journey to work. Wow. Well, yeah, I do actually. I don't know. I think yesterday's sleep would have been great if it wasn't for what happened. But yeah, things happened yesterday, and it was no good. So, all right, I think that it's been schla, and now it's time to buy schla. So, see you schla.